welcome everybody. We are Gaming the System. This is Alex and Matt, and we are going to be doing part 2 of our Assassin's Creed bonus round / deep dive, and we're looking at our top 3 protagonists from the franchise, which is going to be quite a tricky job to decide.
Which franchise?
Assassin's Creed. Yes.
Just making sure we clarified which franchise we're talking
I said,
about.
did I not mention? I'm sure I did. But anyway, we know
we'll be able to play it back to check.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So I'm going to start with my number 3, which is Bayek from Assassin's Creed Origins. And the reasons for that are because he is quintessentially an honourable sort of character. Obviously, he has the motivation of the fact that his son has died and he's getting revenge for that. But previous to that, he was what was known as, what would have been known in modern terms as a sort of sheriff within Egyptian society. So it was his kind of job to uphold the laws within the town that he was living in, which was Siwa. So he was very much sort of keeping things going nicely in that area, and he was probably a well-respected figure. So you've got that side of his character, but I also really liked the fact that he had a sense of humour. He was quite funny a lot of the time, and just his general sort of vibe was really nice to play. That and Nick's kind of offset by his wife, whose name escapes me to my shame, and was meant to be the central character of the game. One thing I did notice, I don't know if you ever saw in Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood, her statue was actually referenced in the underground sort of assassin's vault as an assassin who was memorialised there, which was really cool. So you can see they had designs on her being a main character if she's in that vault. But the way that their relationship plays out and how his character offsets hers is a really nice thing to examine. But I just really enjoyed, his voice is great as well. So excellent voice work to the voice of Bayek, whoever you are. Well done. Very good. I know I should do more research and actually find out people's names, so I apologise. But yeah, I just thought he was a really nice character. So yeah, he would be my number 3.
I like a protagonist that isn't. It's interesting with Assassin's Creed when they don't start off as assassins or in any way related to assassins, because he was a very living an authentic, simple, relatively simple life with a family. He's a sheriff, and then an appalling tragedy happens, and then he remains himself throughout everything. It's just this one like pillar moving through all these events, and I really felt his humanity in that game.
What would your number 3 be, Matt?
My number 3 was, I hastily scribbled out Bayek because that was going to be my number 3. And I've chosen Altair, the OG,
Indeed.
the first of us. Because I was thinking about, I replayed it recently, and just he's really intense and interesting. And I like at the very start, he's extremely arrogant, extremely skilled, extremely cocky, and he gets killed and reborn from that. So it takes your ego and then it cuts you off at the knees and makes you start again. And that process of him learning and redeeming himself, actually bringing you back up. It teaches you as the player what the creed is meant to be, not the way it was at the start. Not this cocky, like, I'm going to go and do this myself and be really arrogant because I'm the best. It's about being humble, and nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Is a really, really interesting phrase to consider. And the game teaches you the meaning of that phrase. And you really feel his his feeling of responsibility, understands the weight of what the assassins stand for. They're not just killers; they are fighting in a very important fight. And yeah, he's the original one.
Yeah,
And look,
yeah, it's an interesting choice, definitely. I think a lot of people, some people might have struggled to relate to him as a character. I think because Assassin's Creed, the original Assassin's Creed, it's very much a game of its time. One of the things people that might have caused people to be like, "Oh, I don't like him," is because the main character, Altair's voice, has an American accent, which is quite clearly not where he is from. But I think they rectified that for Revelations. Was he in Revelations? I forget. I think he was. Was it which one was it? Where
yes,
he
he
had that
was.
voice?
Yes, it
Yeah,
was
and they
like
changed
seeing
the
the
voice,
ghost of Altair.
which made it better. But yeah, I think they realised they couldn't make him American accented, which is good. But no, I can definitely see why you picked the OG, as it were. It's the person that started it all off. So good choice, definitely.
You saying about the accent then
Mm,
just reminded me of we'll have to do an episode or something on casting white actors
yes.
as characters who are
Yeah, I think
people
it's
of color.
something that very often gets kind of covered up or brushed over. Not sometimes not intentionally, but it's not something that we're aware of as consumers of these games unless you go looking who does this character's voice. You don't see a picture of them in the credits or anything, so you have to go looking for it. So having that awareness there is something we really do need to highlight. Definitely, good shout. But yes, so my silver medal position for my top 3 protagonists in Assassin's Creed, my silver medal goes to Edward Kenway from Black Flag. And the main reason is because he comes from Swansea, which is where I went to university. We, um, so I had a connection there with his character already because I already, I have a soft spot for that part of Wales. And he just kind of being voiced by a person from that part of Wales as well is a really important point. So it was authentically Welsh, and you could tell that from his attitude and the way that he behaved. And the fact that his character is a pirate is not something we've ever seen in Assassin's Creed before until that point, which is really fun. As you say, Matt, you mentioned in our previous part 1 of this, basically he's just a nobody and becomes an assassin sort of by accident, which is a really interesting way to kick the story off. So essentially all he wants to do is just be a pirate, but then he gets roped into the assassins and has to start assassinating people on top of that as well. But yeah, I think the fact that he's just his attitude is very much sort of, well, I can't really describe how it's Welsh, but it just comes across, which I think it makes him definitely one of the most unique protagonists of the franchise, I would say. I think it's the first one who was blonde, actually. I'm trying to think of all the hair colours. I don't know if that's an important point, but it might be to some
Right,
people.
see, it'll be important to someone,
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Sort of
somewhere out there.
dirty blonde colour.
Yeah,
The fact that
that's it.
also,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he had some downsides. He was quite clearly a womanizer. He abandoned his wife and child. Well, he didn't know he had a child, but he basically abandoned his wife to go off on a jolly with some other men and plunder treasure and all that in the Caribbean. He was like, okay, I'm going now, bye. And then, so that part of it is less good. But yeah, no, it's just a nice departure for the franchise, and I think it reflected in what is a really wonderful game. So that would be my silver medal.
But one of the best the introducing him and why he can magically do all the assassiny things already is him saying that he works on the rigging of
Mm,
boats, and he
Yeah.
says that every finger's a fish hook.
Yeah.
So that instantly makes you go, oh yeah, he can climb a mast. Have you seen how high a mast is? It's ridiculous. So that makes complete sense. Yeah, I remember that so clearly.
Yeah. That's good. There's a lot of moments like that. It's good. What about you, Matt? What would your second position be?
Second place for me, after I hastily scribble out Edward Kenway as
We have
well.
similar taste, clearly.
I'll bring in my substitute, which is Evie Fry
Oh.
from Syndicate, because she was so much fun to play. She was just, you really felt like you were stepping into the shoes of a really interesting character who I would have liked. You know, when you get a really good character, you know that you'd want to take them out of the context of the story that they're in and just put them somewhere random. You'd want to watch what that character would do rather than it being like, cut out cardboard white man character
Yeah.
fights someone and then saves someone and then fights another someone. You take her, you could make her do that and it would be interesting. Or you could send her to a museum where someone's been murdered
Yeah.
and she has to solve clues. You could put her in a carriage on a journey with a child, and maybe she doesn't like children, and that
Yeah.
would be interesting. That's something I like. If you take like if you took Edward Kenway out of context and put him somewhere random,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be the same as his context in the Caribbean. But really, Evie and I liked in the future, like there were like Helix future
Oh,
flash
yes.
forward
Yeah.
things in Unity, not in Unity, in
Syndicate.
Syndicate. And I think it was either her daughter or her granddaughter, who does a mission for Churchill, and he says, "Oh, I shall write your names in the annals of history." And she goes, "I'd settle for the right to vote." And he'd go, "Oh, she should have said you should stop doing concentration camps in wherever the Crimea or something." But that's we'll stick with the right to vote is
Yeah.
enough for now.
Yeah, definitely. I really like TV as well. I think the fact that she was designed to be more stealthy than Jacob was a nice part of her character. I really liked the knives that she had as well. You know, the little flicky knives. And the fact that I think we mentioned earlier that what they wear is very customizable as well. And you could have some fun with Evie's costumes and the colours and things, which was really nice.
I think that was probably the first. That was the first time where they were going, "Oh, we'll have her as the only protagonist," and then they went,
Yes.
"Oh, no, 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 we need to have a man available as well." So they tried it then, and we will go, "No, no, no, no."
You can
Yes.
tell they've been trying. They have been trying literally the whole time, and it's still not a single female character, which is quite frustrating.
Yeah, because that's you could make if they made a take a pick throw a dart at a dartboard of the world.
Yeah,
Do like the Mayan
yeah,
civilization or the Ethiopia,
mm,
the cradle of civilization, and take a really dark skinned black woman who's doing something there and make that the next. So that's the easy. That's the undiscovered country,
mm,
which is just sitting there. You don't have to make the most incredible. Oh, how do we take Paris and make it the most incredibly better than anything anyone else has done? When
mm,
all you need to do is go to look at the characters, a diverse character that is not a white man, for God's
yeah,
sake, or just a man, just make it a woman, for God's sake. If you just
mm,
did that, if Assassin's Creed went, this is going to be our first game in our entire 15-year history, and it's going to be an only female
mm,
protagonist, that's how you blow the doors off easily.
yeah,
It's a cheat button, it's a cheat code. You just
it
put
is.
that in.
It always annoys me. I remember when they were talking about think it was Odyssey, and they were hyping it up on E3 or whatever, and the director person was like, "Oh, it's the first time you can play the whole game as a female character." I was like, "Have you not been playing Syndicate? Did you just forget?" I mean, I know he said the whole game, but like he made it sound like it was the first female character, and like it was this big amazing thing. And I was like, clearly you've just ignored.
No point. Half marks. You
I
don't
know,
get full
but
points for
also it's
half
not even
measures.
4 points exactly. Yeah,
Half points for half
always
measures.
irritated me. But yes, on that note, I'm going to move on to our number one choices, our gold medal choices for our top 3 protagonists, and mine, as I suspect may or may not be the same as many people's. It is quite clearly the legend of the franchise, Ezio Auditore di Firenze, just because he is a legend. And there's not much more I need to say if you've played his story arc, because he is Assassin's Creed for a lot of people, and I think it's hard to argue against him being a top protagonist. I think he's known outside of Assassin's Creed circles as well as a video game character, or at least I would like to hope so. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have much more to say really. But
Other than we just sit there in 5 minutes and just think about him.
Yeah,
going,
pretty
oh,
much.
I remember that bit.
Mm.
I've been the actor who plays him is just born to play that.
Mm.
Completely knocks it out of the park. Especially it really shows the caliber of an actor when they can play a character in different settings in their life, like in different phases. Because he can play the young, reckless one, the wiser master, and then the wise grandmaster.
Yes.
And if you're wondering whether that's just the role he was born to play, or he's an incredibly versatile actor as well as that, I've been playing a game called Dying Light, which is a zombie parkour game. It's just majestic playing it again, and he plays the main character in that, and he can just instantly he puts you in his shoes. You really feel like you're following someone through a war zone with your hand on their shoulder, and he's got a real purpose going off doing things. So just on the back of the actor, and then his fashion sense is
So good.
stunning. Just captures that stereotype of the sexy Italian man riding in a horseback who all he needs to say is Bella, and you go
Yeah,
everyone.
it's classic.
Yeah. If only.
I'm eager to know, Matt, who is your top protagonist?
I think this is going to surprise anyone who comes across this video, but I'll explain my choice. Number one for me, the one that I enjoyed, that how should I say, the one that I really liked to just go, oh, really feeling the. This is sort of thing. It's hard to put into words. Basically, it's Haytham Kenway. Edward Kenway's son, Connor Kenway's father. So you only play as him in the start of Assassin's Creed 3. Just that first instance is you assume he's an assassin because the game plays the same as an assassin, and then you realise at the end of the sequence that he's a Templar, and you've been playing in the Templar Order. Oh my God, Edward Kenway's son's a Templar. But he's this just stunningly just gentleman, that sort of James Bond style, just absolute comfort in his own skin. Feels like he's striding with purpose, completely relaxed at all times. No, never phased by anything. Has a grand worldview. I like people who have a wider perspective on the world, not just looking at what's in front of them. and just that real, and the voice, one of the best like voices ever. Just love. I loved hearing him. I loved hearing him speak. I loved watching him interact with people. I loved watching. I like stillness. I like people who can be quiet and still when all about them are moving or fidgeting or
Mm.
worrying about something. Always feels like he's completely centered, completely composed. Apart from when he's with Connor's mum, I really like that, because that's the thing that trips up men like that, is when
Mm.
they, because then you can't. It's not a matter of like hierarchy when you're talking to uh, uh, someone you fancy, we'll say, because instantly you go, well, all your refinement goes out the window. And I like he can drop that as well. He's not
Mm.
up himself. He's just very authentic and enjoys himself, and also isn't afraid to learn.
Mm.
And yeah, so yeah, awesome, love him.
Well, there we go. That sums it up then. And to sum up, just for you, just in case you're after a nice sum up, my top three were, starting from number three, was Bayek, number two was Edward, and number one was Ezio from me. And Matt, what were your top three?
So my third one, you took out two of
I
my
did.
options. So I brought in the substitutes. Number three was Altair. Number two was Evie Fry.
Well done.
Evie Fry. And then number one was Haytham Kenway.
There we go then. Thank you very much for everyone who's watched. If you like what we're doing, then please like the video or the podcast, whatever you're listening to. Make sure you should subscribe and share it with all your friends. Comment, tell us what you think. Did you agree or disagree with our choices? We'd love to know. And also, if you can, pop a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, and we'll move up the list. We'd love to be accessible to more ears and eyes near you, which is really great. And keep an eye out every Thursday, 7 p.m. We've got something coming your way. And now we have our deep dives and bonus rounds on Tuesdays as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy all of those, and we'll see you again very soon. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.